Phylum Echinodermata. The name Echinodermata was coined by Jacob Klein in 1734. It was recognized as a group distinct from the Radiata by Leuckart in 1847. The term Echinodermata is the combination of echinos plus derma. Echinos refers to hedgehog and derma denotes skin. Echinodermata forms a well-defined and successful group of marine animals. Classification of phylum Echinodermata. The phylum Echinodermata is classified into two subphylums, namely Elythrozoa and Pelmetazoa. The subphylum Elythrozoa is classified into four classes, namely Asteroidea, OPHIUROIDEA, ECHINOIDEA and HOLOTHUROIDEA. The class Asteroidea is classified into the orders, namely Phanerozonia, Spinulosa and Forcipulata. The class OPHIUROIDEA is classified into the orders OPHIURAE and EURIALE. The class Echinoidea is divided into two subclasses, namely Regularia and Irregularia. The subclass Regularia is further divided into the orders Lepidocentroida, Sidaroida, Olodonta, Styrodonta and Camerodonta. The subclass Irregularia is divided into the orders Holectipoida, Cassidoloida, Clypestroida and Spatangoida. The class Holothuroidea is classified into the orders Aspidochirota, Elacipoda, Dendrochirota, Molpodonia and Synaptida. The subphylum Pelmetazoa is classified into the class Crinoidea. The class Crinoidea is further divided into the order Articulata. Subphylum Elythrozoa. Class Asteroidea. The body is flattened, pentagonal or star-shaped. Oral and aboral surfaces are distinct. The oral surface directed downwards and the aboral surface towards upwards. Mouth is centrally placed at the oral surface surrounded by a membranous peristome. Anus is small and inconspicuous, located more or less eccentrically on the aboral surface. Ambulacra form prominent grooves provided with podia or tube feet. Pedicellaria are small, movable spine-like structures. Respiration is by papillae. Sexes are separate. Gonads are radially arranged. Development includes BIPINNARIA or Brachyularia larva. Class OPHIUROIDEA. The body is flattened with a pentamerous or rounded central disc. Oral and aboral surfaces are distinct. Arms usually 5, rarely 6 or 7. Ambulacral grooves, anus and intestine are absent. Madreporite is on the oral surface. Sexes are separate. The development includes a free-swimming larva called Pluteus larva. Class Echinoidea. The body is spherical, disc-like, oval or heart-shaped. The body is closed in an endoskeletal shell or test of closely fitted calcareous plates covered with movable spines. Mouth is centrally placed on the oral surface and surrounded by a membranous peristome. Anus is located at the aboral pole. Ambulacral grooves are absent. Pedicellaria are stalked and three-jawed. Sexes are separate. The development includes a free-swimming Echinopluteus larva. Class Holothuroidea. The body is bilaterally symmetrical, elongated in the oral-aboral axis. The endoskeleton is reduced to microscopic spicules or plates embedded in the body wall. Mouth is surrounded by a set of tentacles attached to the vascular system. Alimentary canal is long and coiled. The sexes are usually separate. The development includes Auricularia larva. Subphylum Pelmatozoa. Class Crinoidea. It includes both extinct and living forms. Living members are without stalk and free moving, but extinct forms are attached by a stalk. Body consists of an aboral cup called the calyx and the oral cover or roof called the tegmen. Mouth usually central, anus usually eccentric are present on the oral surface. Arms are movable, simple, mostly branched, usually 5 or 10 in numbers. Madreporoid, spines, and pedicellaria are present. The development includes Doliolaria larva. These are the few examples under each class. C. cucumbers belongs to Holothuroidea. C. stars belongs to Astroidea. C. urchins belongs to Echinoidea. Brittle stars belongs to OPHIUROIDEA and sea lilies belongs to Crinoidea. General characteristics of Echinodermata. The echinoderms are exclusively marine. Body is triploblastic and coelomate with distinct oral and aboral surfaces without definite head and segmentation. Body shape is rounded to cylindrical or star-like with simple arms radiating from a central disc, or branched feathery arms arise from a central body. Surface of the body is rarely smooth. Typically, it is covered by 5 symmetrically spaced radiating grooves called ambulacra. The body wall consists of an outer epidermis, a middle dermis, and an inner lining of peritoneum. It has organ system grade of organization. Endoskeleton consists of closely fitted plates forming a shell usually called theca or test, or may be composed of separate small ossicles. Presence of vascular system or ambulacral system is the most important characteristic feature. It consists of tubes filled with watery fluid. Circulatory or hemal or blood lacuna system is typically present. Respiration occurs through a variety of structures, for example, papula in starfishes, peristomial gills in sea urchins, cloacal respiratory trees in holothurians. Nervous system is primitive, consisting of networks concentrated into the radial ganglionated nerve cord. The sense organs are poorly developed. The excretory organs are absent. Reproduction is usually sexual. Fertilization is external, while few echinoderms are viviparous. The development is indeterminate, including characteristic larva which undergoes metamorphosis into the radially symmetrical adults. Echinoderms has the powers of regeneration. Here we have the type study organism Astreus rubens, commonly called as sea star. Systematic position of Astreus rubens. It belongs to the kingdom Animalia. Phylum Echinodermata. Subphylum Elythrozoa. Class Astroidea. Order Fossipulata. Genus Astreus. And species rubens. Habit and habitat. Astreus is exclusively marine, bottom-dwelling animal inhabiting various types of bottom, mainly in the littoral zone. Astreus is found abundantly on hard, rocky, sandy or soft bottom surfaces. The most species of Astreus are generally solitary, but under certain ecological conditions such as to avoid direct sunlight or excessive drying, many individuals may gather at some place for the purpose of protection. Most of them are nocturnal. All the sea stars are carnivorous and feed voraciously on almost any available slow-moving or sessile animals. Many species of Astreus exhibit various types of biological relationships such as parasitism and commensalism. Sea stars in general exhibit remarkable powers of autotomy and regeneration. External features: shape, size and color. Astreus has a radially symmetrical and pentamerous body. The body consists of a central, pentagonal central disc, from which it radiates out 5 elongated, tapering, symmetrical shaped projections, called the rays or arms. In some genera, the number of arms may be more than 5. For example, there are 7 to 14 arms in Solaster and more than 40 arms in Heliaster. The size varies from 10 to 20 cm in diameter, though some forms may be much smaller or longer. The color is variable, having shades of yellow, orange, brown and purple. The body has two surfaces. The upper convex and much darker side is called the aboral or abactinal surface. The lower surface is flat, less pigmented and is called the oral or actinal surface. The oral surface consists of the mouth, ambulacral grooves, tube feet or podia, ambulacral spines and sense organs. The aboral surface includes the anus, madreporoid, spines, papillae or gills and pedicellaria. Oral surface. First, let us see about mouth. On the oral surface, in the center of the pentagonal central disc is an aperture called the actinosome or the mouth. It is a pentagonal aperture with 5 angles, each directed towards an arm. The mouth is surrounded by a soft and a delicate membrane called the peristomial membrane or peristome, and it is guarded by 5 groups of oral spines or mouth papillae. Ambulacral grooves. From each angle of the mouth radiates a narrow groove called the ambulacral groove, which runs all along the middle of oral surface of each arm. Next is the tube feet or podia. Each ambulacral groove contains 4 rows of locomotory, food capturing, respiratory and sensory organs called the tube feet or podia. The tube feet are soft, thin, tubular and retractile structures which are provided with terminal discs or suckers. The suckers function as suction cups to afford a firm attachment on the surface to which they are applied. Ambulacral spines. Each ambulacral groove is bordered and guarded laterally by 2 or 3 rows of movable calcareous ambulacral spines which are capable of closing over the groove. Near the mouth, these spines often become larger, stouter and assemble in 5 groups, one at each interradius of disc and are called mouth papilla. Outside the ambulacral spines are 3 rows of stout immovable spines, beyond which occurs another series of marginal spines along the borders of the arms, demarcating the oral from the aboral surface. Sense organs. Sense organs include 5 unpaired terminal tentacles and 5 unpaired eye spots. The tip of each arm bears a small, median, non-retractile and hollow projection called the terminal tentacle. It acts as a tactile and olfactory organ. At the base of each tentacle occurs a bright red photosensitive eye spot made up of several ocelli. Aboral surface. Anus. A minute circular aperture called the anus is situated close to the center of the central disc of aboral surface. Madreporoid. At the aboral surface of the central disc occurs a flat, subcircular, asymmetrical and grooved plate called madreporoid plate or madreporoid between bases of 2 of the 5 arms. The surface of madreporoid is marked by a number of radiating, narrow, straight or slightly wavy grooves in them. The madreporite is thus a sieve-like porous plate and it leads to the stone canal of vascular system. The two arms having madreporite between bases are collectively referred to as a bivium and the other three arms are referred to as trivium. The entire aboral surface is covered with numerous short, stout, blunt, calcareous spines or tubercles. The spines are variable in size and are arranged in irregular rows running parallel to the long axis of the arms. The spines are supported by the irregularly shaped calcareous plates or ossicles which remain buried in the integument and form the endoskeleton. Papillae or gills. Between the ossicles of integument are present a large number of minute dermal pores. Through each dermal pore project out a very small, delicate, tubular, finger-like or thread-like thin-walled, membranous and retractile projections called the dermal branchia or gill or papilla. The papillae are hollow evaginations of the body wall and their lumen remain in continuation with the coelom. They are internally lined by coelomic epithelium. They have respiratory as well as excretory functions. Pedicellaria. Besides the spines and gills, entire aboral surface is covered by many whitish modified spine-like tiny pincers or jaws called pedicellaria. The oral surface also bears pedicellaria. Each pedicellaria consists of a long or short, stout, flexible stalk having no internal calcareous support. The stalk bears three calcareous ossicles or plates, namely a basilar piece or plate at the extremity of the stalk and jaws or valves which remain movably articulated with the basilar piece. Pedicellaria is classified into two types, namely Pedunculate pedicellaria and sessile pedicellaria. Pedicellaria having a stalk are called as pedunculate pedicellaria and which is classified into two types such as straight type and cross type. Pedunculate pedicellaria. The first one is the straight type pedunculate pedicellaria. This type of pedicellaria are simple. Their two jaws are more or less straight and attached basally to the basal piece. When closed, they remain parallel and meet throughout their length. The two jaws work against one another like the blades of a forceps with the help of three pairs of muscles. There are two pairs of adductor muscles for closing the jaws and a pair of abductor muscles for opening them. Cross-type pedunculate pedicellaria. In the cross type of pedicellaria, the basal ends of the two jaws cross each other like the mandibles of a crossbill, so that the basal piece is enclosed between their crossed portions. In this type of pedicellaria, the jaws are also operated by two pairs of adductor muscles and one pair of abductor muscles. Sessile pedicellaria. Pedicellaria without stalk are called as sessile pedicellaria and are found on the body of Astreus. They serve as defensive and offensive organs and provide protection to gills and general body surface by keeping the body surface free from debris and organisms like sponges and coelenterates settling on the body. Body wall. The body wall of Astreus consists of the following tissue layers: cuticle, epidermis, nervous layer, basement membrane, dermis, muscular layer and coelomic epithelium. Cuticle. The body surface is covered with a definite cuticle consisting of two layers, an outer thick homogeneous layer and an inner delicate layer. Epidermis. Just beneath the cuticle lies a layer of ciliated epithelium which extends over all the external appendages of body such as spines, pedicellaria, tube feet and gills. The epidermis is composed of a variety of cells such as ordinary flagellated or ciliated columnar cells, neurosensory cells, mucous gland cells or goblet cells, muriform gland cells, and the pigment granules which provide characteristic external coloration to the animal. Nervous layer. Beneath the epidermis lies a nervous layer varying in thickness in different areas and penetrated by the attenuated bases of the epidermal cells on their elastic filaments. Basement membrane. Just below the nervous layer lies the delicate basement membrane which separates the nervous layer and epidermis from the underlying dermis. Dermis. The dermis is composed of fibrous connective tissue developed from the mesoderm. It is the thickest layer of body wall and has two regions, namely outer and inner. The outer dermal region secretes and houses the endoskeletal ossicles and binds them together, while the inner dermal region contains numerous blood-containing spaces called perihemal spaces. Muscular layer. The muscular layer consists of smooth muscle fibers. It is differentiated into an outer circular muscle layer and an inner longitudinal muscle layer. These muscle layers are on the whole weakly developed, except in the aboral wall where stronger longitudinal bundles radiate from the center of the disc along the mid-dorsal line of each arm to bend the arms aborally. Coelomic epithelium. The innermost layer of body wall lines the coelom and is composed of flagellated cuboidal cells of mesodermal origin. The innermost layer of body wall is called as coelomic epithelium or peritoneum. Endoskeleton. The rigidity of the body of Astreus is due to the presence of definite skeleton. In Astreus, the endoskeleton is unique in being mesodermal in origin. The ossicles are of various shapes and are bound together by connective tissue. 5 plate-like ossicles called oral ossicles remain arranged around the mouth. Each ambulacral groove is supported by double rows of large, transversely placed opposite rod-shaped ambulacral ossicles. The ossicles of the two opposite rows are arranged like an inverted V. The aboral ends meeting at the apex of the V, like the rafters supporting the roof of a shed and forming a conspicuous ambulacral ridge. The ambulacral ossicle has a notch on its outer as well as inner margin. The two notches of the adjacent ossicles together form an oval aperture called the ambulacral pore for the passage of tube foot. Section of an arm. The arm is covered all around by a thin two-layered cuticle, a ciliated epidermis and an underlying thick dermis. The aboral wall has a number of irregular fenestrated ossicles. From the aboral side, dermal papillae project out, the coelom is continued into the papillae. Between the spines and attached to them are many pedicellaria. Each lateral margin of the arm has two large spines. They are a supramarginal spine and below it an inframarginal spine. On the oral surface of the ambulacral groove is supported by the elongated ambulacral ossicles meeting at the summit of the groove. At each end of the ambulacral groove is an ambulacral ossicle and spine. Muscles. Each pair of ambulacral ossicles has an upper and a lower transverse ambulacral muscle. The upper or superior transverse ambulacral muscle widens the ambulacral groove, and the lower or inferior transverse ambulacral muscle makes the ambulacral groove narrow. Between the adjacent ambulacral ossicles of each side is a longitudinal ambulacral muscle which shortens the arm and the ambulacral groove. The outer end of each ambulacral ossicle is connected with the ambulacral ossicle by a lateral transverse ambulacral muscle which widens the ambulacral groove. Nerves. In the middle of the ambulacral grooves is a radial nerve cord in the shape of V. Above the radial nerve cord are two Lange's nerves. Close to the outer end of each ambulacral ossicle is a marginal nerve, and each podium has a nerve ring. Coelom. Astreus possesses a true and spacious coelom which is lined by a coelomic epithelium of ciliated cuboidal cells. The coelom is filled with a colorless, alkaline coelomic fluid which contains various dissolved nutrients such as amino acids, fatty acids, glycerol, and glucoses. Coelom consists of various compartments such as a perivisceral coelom extending in central disc and rays and surrounding the visceral organs such as digestive tract and the gonads. Coelom of water vascular system, axial sinus, perihemal sinus and canals, and genital sinuses. Digestive system. The digestive system of Astreus comprises the alimentary canal and the digestive glands. Alimentary canal. In Astreus, the alimentary canal is tubular, straight, short, and extends vertically along the oral-aboral axis in the central disc. It comprises the following parts: mouth, esophagus, stomach, intestine, and anus. Mouth. The mouth is the anteriormost aperture of alimentary canal and it is situated in the center of the peristomial membrane on the oral surface. It is provided with a sphincter muscle and radial fibers and is capable of great expansion and retraction. The mouth leads upward into the esophagus. Esophagus. The esophagus is a very short, wide and vertical tube. It opens aborally in the stomach. Stomach. The stomach is a broad sac. It is typically divided by a horizontal constriction into a voluminous oral part called the cardiac stomach and a flattened aboral part called the pyloric stomach. The cardiac stomach has a muscular, highly folded wall bulged out to form 5 lobes, one opposite to each arm. During the feeding process, the cardiac stomach can be averted through the mouth by the contraction of the muscles of body wall. The retraction of cardiac stomach is brought about by 5 pairs of retractor muscles which arise from the lateral sides of the ambulacral ridge. The pyloric stomach is much smaller, flat and pentagonal sac. It communicates with the intestine. Intestine. The intestine is a short, narrow, 5-sided tube that runs straight upward to open out at the anus. It gives off 2 or 3 little hollow diverticula called intestinal or rectal ceca placed interradially. The intestinal ceca are brown in color and each bear several short, irregularly shaped diverticula. The actual function of the intestinal ceca is well disputed. However, they are considered as excretory organs because they secrete a brown fluid. Anus. The intestine opens on the aboral surface by the posteriormost aperture of the alimentary canal called anus. The anus is situated eccentrically on the aboral side of the central disc. Digestive gland. The digestive gland of Astreus is called pyloric ceca. There are 5 pairs of pyloric ceca, 1 pair in each arm. Each pyloric cecum is formed of 2 rows of glandular pouches. They open into a median duct. The 2 ducts of an arm unite together to form a common duct called pyloric duct. The pyloric duct opens into the pyloric stomach. The pyloric ceca are suspended from the arms by paired mesentery. The pyloric cecum is formed of 4 types of cells, namely ciliated cells, enzyme-producing cells, mucous cells, and storage cells. Feeding and digestion. Starfish is carnivorous and it feeds on crustaceans, mollusks, and fishes. The digested food is absorbed into the pyloric ceca. Here, the undigested particles are digested by intracellular digestion. The surplus food is stored in the storage cells of ceca. From the ceca, the food is diffused into the coelomic fluid. The coelomic fluid distributes the digested food to various parts of the body. The undigested food is passed out through the anus. Respiration. Respiration is carried out by thousands of dermal branchia or papillae. The dermal branchia are simple, transparent and hollow outgrowths of the skin. They are present on the aboral surface, projecting through minute openings. Their cavities are in continuation with the coelom and they are covered with the cilia. Oxygen dissolved in seawater is extracted by these gills in exchange of carbon dioxide. The thin walls of the tube foot may also serve for exchange of gases. Water-vascular system. It is also called as ambulacral system. It is peculiar to echinoderms and not present to any other animal group. This is a system of canals filled with a fluid consisting of seawater and certain corpuscles. The essential parts of the system are madreporite, stone canal, ring canal, radial canals, Tiedemann's bodies, POLIAN vesicles, lateral canals and tube feet. Madreporite. It is a hard, rounded and calcareous plate lying on the aboral surface. It is situated in the interradial position. The surface of the madreporite is provided with a number of radiating grooves or furrows. The bottom of these furrows are perforated by minute pores, so that the whole plate looks like a sieve. Each pore leads into a pore canal and all the pore canals merge into collecting canals. The collecting canals converge into a small bag-like ampulla beneath the madreporite. The ampulla opens into a stone canal. Stone canal. It is a S-shaped canal. The walls are strengthened by a series of calcareous rings. Internally, the stone canal is lined with cilia, the movement of which draws the seawater from outside into the canal. One end of the tube opens to the outside through the madreporite. The other end opens into a ring canal. The lumen of the stone canal is occupied by a ridge with spirally coiled lamellae. Ring canal. It is a wide pentagonal ring-like vessel lying around the mouth. Tiedemann's bodies. The ring canal gives off interradially from its inner surface 10 small yellowish rounded glandular bodies called Tiedemann's bodies. In Astreus, only 9 Tiedemann's bodies occur, the position of the 10th being occupied by the stone canal. They produce phagocytes. POLIAN vesicles. The ring canal bears on its outer side 5 pear-shaped structures called POLIAN vesicles. They are interradially arranged. These are thin-walled bladders with long and narrow necks. The POLIAN vesicles serve as storehouses for the fluid in the water-vascular system. Radial canals. From its outer surface, the ring canal gives off 5 radial canals, one entering each arm. The radial canal runs up to the tip of the arm and ends in the terminal tentacle. Lateral canals. Each radial canal gives off many paired lateral canals on both the sides, which leads to a tube foot or podium. Each canal is provided with a valve to prevent backward flow of fluid into the radial canal. Tube feet. The tube foot is a hollow, elastic, thin-walled closed cylinder. It consists of an upper sac-like ampulla, a middle tubular podium and a terminal disc-like sucker. Muscle fibers are present in the walls of the ampulla and the podium. The tube feet are capable of greater extension and when extended they come out through the ambulacral grooves. Functions of the water-vascular system. The water-vascular system sets up a hydraulic pressure mechanism which brings about the locomotion. Food capture. The tube feet are used to capture the prey. The suckers are used to open the shells of the mollusks. Attachment. The starfish can be attached to the rocks by the tube feet. Circulatory system. Astreus lacks true blood vascular system. The circulatory system of Astreus includes two systems, namely perihemal system and hemal system. Perihemal system. The perihemal system, like the water-vascular system, is derived from the coelom and is composed of many tubular coelomic sinuses such as axial sinus, aboral ring sinus, genital sinuses, radial perihemal sinuses, marginal sinuses and peribranchial sinuses. Hemal system. The hemal or blood lacuna system of Astreus is reduced and is of open type like the hemocoel of Arthropoda and Mollusca. The hemal system is filled with coelomic fluid containing coelomocytes and is enclosed in the coelomic spaces of perihemal system. Functions of the hemal system. It distributes the food materials. The dorsal sac maintains the flow of blood by its contractile activity. The axial gland produces the sex cells. Excretion. There are no specialized excretory organs in starfish. Excretion is made possible by the amoebocytes found in the coelomic fluid. Amoebocytes collect waste particles from the coelomic fluid. The waste materials are accumulated at the base of the dermal branchia. They pass out of the papillae through their thin walls. The nitrogenous excretory products consist mainly of ammonia compounds. Nervous system. The nervous system in starfish is a primitive type and is closely connected with the epidermis of the skin. Just like other systems of the body, it is radially symmetrical. It is made up of nerve cells and a network of nerve fibers. The nervous system is of four types, namely ectoneural nervous system or superficial nervous system, deep oral nervous system, aboral coelomic nervous system and endodermal nervous system. Ectoneural nervous system. It consists of a central circumoral nerve ring enclosing the mouth. From it originates 5 radial nerves which extend to the tips of the arms, where each terminates in an eye. The 5 radial nerves are situated below the radial ambulacral vessels. From the radial nerves, branches arise to the tube feet. As the components of this nervous system are developed from the ectoderm, it is called as ectoneural nervous system and it is sensory in function. Deep oral nervous system. It is developed from the mesoderm. It is motor in function. It consists of a double circumoral nerve ring around the mouth and 5 pairs of laryngeus nerves extending into the arms. Aboral or coelomic nervous system. It is formed of an aboral anal nerve ring in the disc and 5 nerves in the arms. It is mesodermal in origin and motor in function. Endodermal nervous system. This system is a continuation of the ectoneural nervous system. It is located in the walls of the alimentary canal and is sensory in function. Sense organs. Neurosensory cells. The neurosensory cells are specialized sensory cells distributed throughout the epidermis. They are abundant in tentacles, tube feet, and the bases of pedicellaria. They are fusiform and are connected to nerve fibers. They may be tactile or olfactory in function. Eyes. Starfish has 5 eyes. They are situated at the terminal end of the arm beneath the tentacles. Each eye is made up of numerous eye pits or ocelli. Each eye pit is cup-shaped. It is filled with a transparent gelatinous tissue. The mouth of the cup has lens and is covered by a cuticle. The wall of the cup is made up of pigment cells and retinal cells. The eye cannot form image, but it detects changes in the light intensity. Reproductive system. Astreus rubens is hermaphrodite. There is no marked sexual dimorphism. However, during breeding season, some sort of color differences between both the sexes may occur. The reproductive organs of Astreus are of primitive type and lack copulatory organs, axillary glands, receptacles for storing ova, and reservoirs for storing mature sperms. There are only gonads which act as reproductive organs. Gonads. The male gonads are testes and female gonads are ovaries. Each sexually mature male or female individual contains 5 pairs of testes or ovaries. The testes and ovaries are morphologically similar. Each gonad appears as an elongated feathery tuft or bunch of grapes. The proximal end of each gonad is attached to the aboral body wall near the interbranchial septum by a very short gonoduct, which is ciliated and opens laterally through a small gonopore. Each gonad is enclosed in a genital sac. The mature sperms and ova are discharged by male and female astreus respectively in seawater. The release of sex cells from the gonads is regulated by neurohormonal secretion of radial nerve. Life cycle. Starfish is a marine sedentary animal. The development is indirect as there are larval forms. Fertilization. The fertilization is external. It occurs in the sea. The fertilized egg is called as zygote. Cleavage. The segmentation is holoblastic, equal and indeterminate. It is a rapid process. The cleavage converts the zygote into a blastula in one day. Blastula. It is spherical and ciliated. It is hollow and hence called as coeloblastula. The cavity is called as blastocele. It is surrounded by a layer of ciliated cells. The blastula swims freely in water. Gastrulation. The process by which a gastrula forms from a blastula is known as gastrulation. It involves the inward pushing of blastomeres of one side. Gastrula. Gastrula is in the form of a double-layered cup. The two layers are the outer ectoderm and the inner endoderm. The cavity of the gastrula is called as archentron. It opens to the outside by an opening called blastopore. The endoderm at the inner end gives off cells into the blastocele. These cells form the mesoderm. The archentron produces two pouches. These pouches are pinched off from the archentron as two sacs. These sacs develop into coelom and the water-vascular system. The gastrula swim in water. After some time, it develops into a larva called diplurula larva. Larval development. Diplurula larva. This larva develops from the gastrula. It has the following salient features. Diplurula is the fundamental larva of the echinoderms. It is the first larva in the life cycle. It is microscopic. It is a free-swimming larva. It is bilaterally symmetrical. It is oval in shape. It has a gut formed of the mouth, the esophagus, the intestine, the stomach and the anus. It has two ciliary bands, namely a perioral band and an adoral band. The perioral band is used for locomotion and the adoral band is used for the collection of food. It feeds on diatoms. The diplurula larva develops into the BIPINNARIA larva. BIPINNARIA larva. It is the second larva of the starfish. It is minute and microscopic. It swims freely on the surface of the water. It is bilaterally symmetrical. It has a straight alimentary canal. It has a pre-oral lobe and a post-oral lobe. The body has a number of outgrowths called arms. It has 2 unpaired arms and 5 pairs of paired arms. They are median dorsal arm, median ventral arm, pre-oral arms, post-oral arms, anterodorsal arms, posterodorsal arms and posterolateral arms. Brachyularia larva. It is the third larva of the starfish. The BIPINNARIA larva, after a short free swimming life, is transformed into the Brachyularia larva. The preoral region of this larva has 3 processes called brachiolar arms. These 3 arms are tipped with suckers. It swims and feeds like a BIPINNARIA. Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is the change in the body form and habits during the development cycle of the animals. In starfish, metamorphosis occurs in the following ways. The Brachyularia larva sinks into the bottom of the sea. It gets attached to the substratum with the help of the brachiolar arms. The mouth, anus and the ciliary bands disappear. A new mouth is formed on the left side of the larva. A new anus is formed on the right side of the larva. The mouth represents the oral side and the anus represents the aboral side. 5 lobes grow between the mouth and the anus. These are the arm rudiments, and the bilateral symmetry is transformed into the radial symmetry. Regeneration. There is a considerable power of regeneration in starfish. If the central disc is detached from all its arms, it will regenerate them all. A single arm with a small part of the disc will regenerate the whole animal. Autotomy. When an arm is injured, the animal casts off the arm. This process is called as autotomy, which helps them to protect the animal when it is caught by one or more arms. After casting them off, it can run away. The cast off part generally regenerates. Economic importance of Echinodermata. Echinoderms as food. Sea urchins are used around 50,000 tons per year for food. They are consumed mostly in Japan, Peru, France and Spain. Sea cucumbers are considered a delicacy in some Southeastern Asian countries. Echinoderms in medicine. Sea cucumbers toxins are used in cancer research. Echinoderms in farming. Hard skeleton of echinoderms are used as a source of lime. Few representative types of Echinodermata are Antitod, Astropecten, Cucumaria, Pentacirrus and Echinocardium.